clearly see Tropical Storm Fred right there. Hello, America. You are watching Weather Underground on the Weather Channel. You're also watching continued coverage of Tropical Storm Fred, which has made its way onshore near Cape San Blas with winds of 65 miles per hour. Fred, right now, is saying hello to parts of Panama City, where the biggest threat really is not going to be the wind. The biggest issue we have here is the threat of rising water. The city has already taken action trying to clear out drainage areas for a simple reason, so that the water will have a place to go. Also, Deer Point Lake has been dropped a little bit in terms of its water just a short while ago, knowing that more rain was on the way, and flooding is going to be a real issue. Not only here, the story does not just begin or end in parts of Florida, but could carry on into portions of Alabama, Georgia, eventually into Tennessee, the Carolinas, and beyond. Again, full coverage here, but I'll tell you, we got a long night ahead, obviously, and again, when you look at the totality of the tropical season, we still have a very, very long way to go. More than 80% of the season remains. Was quiet for a bit. That has all changed at this point. We've got more coming up, but now let's sit back in the studio with the very latest on this tropical system. Let's get back to you.
Thank you so much, Brian. New video coming to the Weather Channel right now as Tropical Storm Fred has been hitting the Panhandle. It has made landfall, happening not too far away from here, Indian Pass, Florida. It did make landfall near Cape San Blas, Florida. And here we are with water rises and rough surf when you're closer to the actual beaches, heavy rain. So this surge flooding and the freshwater flooding, all possible along the Florida Panhandle. We're seeing that right here. And continuing to track this storm now, even after it has made landfall, it's going to be possibly days before we say goodbye to Fred, in the sense that it's going to impact areas all up and down the eastern seaboard here, with the tropical moisture surging pretty far to the north, even up to New England. So landfall happening at 2:15 Central Time and happening near Cape San Blas, which is right there. So the landfall was somewhere in here. And 65 mile per hour tropical storm, and the pressure at 994 millibars. And the heavy rain now extending into parts of Alabama and Georgia. Within this area, there's tropical storm warnings for Alabama, parts of Alabama and Georgia, and of course still here through a lot of the panhandle of Florida. And then as this system moves north, again, it will be losing its wind punch. Still have some wind punch, though, as it's going through some of the heavily populated areas here into Georgia. But then once it loses its tropical characteristics, it's still going to have tropical moisture associated with it. So the name and what we call it will be changing in the coming days, but a lot of the same effects will remain. We're still going to have some of this very heavy rain. There's a flash flood warning right now for Panama City. Tornado watch in effect here for several counties in Florida. Also, we've got one county in Alabama and several counties in Georgia here. So conditions still favorable for the possibility that tornadoes will develop out of this, part of the landfall process here, with the winds going in different directions at different levels of the atmosphere. Also with this spin, too, it's bringing a little extra spin with it, going up the Appalachians, that the flood threat will be here. Also severe weather, and even can't rule out tornadoes going into tomorrow as well as it moves to the north. By Wednesday morning, a much weaker system, and in fact, even by tomorrow morning, it should be below tropical storm force, weakening considerably. But it takes a while for that momentum to come down, Jackie, and for the moisture to get completely wrung out of this. So heavy rain going all the way up into the northeast.
Well, we've got the latest now on Tropical Storm Fred. Panama City police say it has knocked out traffic lights in the city. Remember to treat them as four-way stops. Better yet, stay off the road until the storm moves farther north. More than 13 million people are in Fred's forecast cone, and the storm's threat extend well inland. Heavy rain, flash flooding, gusty winds, and a few tornadoes are all possible in parts of Alabama and Georgia into tomorrow. I want to give you some latest numbers when we talk about storm surge. Chris just showed you where we have the storm surge warnings that are in effect. We're seeing pretty significant water level rise of over 3 feet now in Apalachicola, which is concerning. Anything over 3 feet can be life-threatening. Notice it's nothing in Panama City. Our winds are coming in from the shore towards the water. So what causes storm surge is this wind pushing the water and piling it up against the coast. It's that saltwater flooding that takes place. And then Pensacola, likely coming in from the bay, you've got a water level rise still less than a foot. The whole region could see anywhere between 1 and 5 foot storm surge as those winds continue to push that water. But now that we've had landfall, it'll take a while, like Chris mentioned, but those winds will gradually die down and we'll start to see some improvements. There are power outages, about 10,000 people in the Panhandle now without power. Those numbers could go up with time as the wind will still be strong enough to cause damage late tonight. Now by early tomorrow morning, wind should come down. Some of the stronger gusts would be more like 20, 25 miles per hour, so that should dramatically improve the situation. And there's that storm surge potential that I was talking about. Really here into the Big Bend area is the most likely area where that storm surge flooding will be most dangerous. Now the rainfall is heavy. We already have a flash flood warning in effect in Panama City. We've got a watch in effect across much of that region, extending northward all the way through the state of Georgia. Here's that warning I was talking about, showing you for Bay, Calhoun, as well as Gulf counties until 8:15. Had a lot of rain here already, anywhere between 1 and 4 inches. A few spots, some locally heavier amounts than that. And we're expecting an additional 1 to 4 inches on top of what you already have. So flooding isn't happening now. It is imminent, likely, in some of these areas, especially in those poor drainage spots.